If you look at a lot of the history books, the railways were highly criticised for their state during the interwar periods from about 1920 up to the late 30s. There was a great need of repair in the buildings, some of the service didn't run properly, infrastructure needed repair, and certain locos and coaches were not to the best standard. But was this totally the fault of the railways, you could ask? During the war, the government took over all 120 companies, railway companies, and ran them during it, with the promise that they would be compensated for any action that they carried out in the behalf of the government. After the war, this compensation needed to be dealt with. However, the new Labour government had its own ideas about what was going to happen with the railways. Under the committee that was set up by the government and the railways themselves, they reckoned that they were owed between 150 and 200 million pounds. That's back in 1920s money, approximately 6 billion today. What were they offered? 60 million, around 0.3 billion today. This would have put them at a major disadvantage in being able to recoup and make the railways back to a running state again. Hence why they were in such a dilapidated state. By the 1921 Railways Act, it was actually stipulated they had to take this. And there was a bit of misinformation coming about how the railways were seen as trying to profiteer from the war that had just happened. Were the government looking to do something during this time? Because if you look at it closely, when it was split into the four, they very closely matched how the railways were then divided after nationalisation in 1949. And it was suggested in that time that the railways should be nationalised, but it was left because they didn't want to push it too far. It's certainly something to think about, isn't it? Check out more of these things on my YouTube channel, Rail Ride in Time, where each month I release a video on a light railway in the areas that are probably not talked about very often within railway history. Until then, have fun.